Welcome back. A wise man once said, give the people what they want. And what I think you want is to hop into the Bonanza and do some chair flying. I'm going to make some airplane noises, and I'm going to show you around the instrument panel of the airplane so you can get comfortable with what I've got instrumentation-wise on the airplane. Here's why that's important. I'm going to take you on a lot of journeys on this channel. We're going to go places, we're going to visit people, we're going to have fun, we're going to learn, we're going to get ratings, we're going to do some fun stuff. I think one of the things you've got to do is understand exactly what type of beasts we're going to be flying. We're also going to do this with the Piper Arrow, so get ready for that. But in the meantime, we're going to pull this airplane outside, get some light on it, and then show you around the instrument panel. We're not going to go flying, but we're going to do a lesson in the instrument panel of a Beechcraft Bonanza Model P35. You're going to know what everything does, where everything is, and what I'm looking at while I'm flying. You're also going to see it from the perspective that I have when I sit in the pilot seat. I'm going to sit over on the co-pilot side, and I'm going to be your instructor for today. Now, disclaimer, we're not doing this for credit. I'm not a CFI. I'm not teaching you how to fly. I'm just showing you around my airplane for education purposes. I hope you learned something. If you see something that you are curious about, go ahead and ask it in the questions. If you've got instrumentation that I can have to put on my shelf when one of these things fails, because they're all mechanical and they're going to fail at some point, let me know. I'll buy them from you. But let's go have some fun. Oh yeah, I'm feeling a lot better, but I'm not ready to fly. Let's just put it that way. I'm going to take my time. There's no rush. Summer's ahead of us. We've got a lot of things to do. Let's get rest. And let's be ready when the time actually comes to go take these airplanes up and flying. So let's go pull it outside before the rain comes, and we'll see what we see on the instrument panel of the Beechcraft Bonanza. Right, let me go take you on a little bit of a tour of the instrument panel of the Bonanza. It's getting a little bit dark in the distance, so I'm going to push it back inside here pretty soon, but I want you to sit in my pilot seat and get comfortable and familiar with what this airplane looks like and the various avionics that it has installed, because we've got a lot of trips to do on this channel, and I want you to know what everything is and where everything is so you can fly this airplane with me. You can feel as if you own a Beechcraft Bonanza, because you're watching this video, so you like airplane stuff. I'm going to take you along every single journey that I possibly can. Let's do it. All right, well, I'm putting you in the pilot seat right now. Welcome to the 1963 Beechcraft Bonanza Model P35. This is my Beechcraft Bonanza Model P35. This airplane is 260 horsepower. Relatively basic avionics, but really nice avionics. Gets the job done. It's IFR capable. And I'm going to give you a description of the instrument panel from the left over to the right. Again, you are sitting in the pilot seat. I'm over here on the co-pilot side. So this is about what I'd be sitting or seeing when I'm sitting over here. So clock, of course, we've got to wind it up to give it power. And it'll keep time for a few days. Your speed indicator has both knots and miles per hour. My attitude indicator, this is the only gyro instrument in the airplane right now, so if I replace this with something electronic, I could pull out the air pump, the vacuum pump from the engine side. This one's from a company called Sigmatech. It is really, really nice, very, very accurate, very smooth. We've got an altimeter right here, so it's a sensitive altimeter, so I can adjust the Colesman window for whatever the pressure setting is at the local airfield. We're going to stay over here in this little cluster. Let's go back over here. There is a course deviation index here, CDI, or nav indicator right here. That's hooked up to nav 2. There's an S-Tech turn coordinator right here. So this is giving the autopilot level information as well as turn indication. So standard rate turn is about 2 minutes to complete that turn. And You know, this right here is one of the instruments you rely on a lot when you're instrument flying, but the autopilot also takes that information. It doesn't give you any pitch information, it's just your rate of turn. And then it also has a slip skid indicator, or a ball, where you can tell whether you're coordinated or not. Then we have a Bendix King directional gyro. This one's also hooked up to the autopilot, so we can control heading. It's slaved to an electronic compass, so it always knows where it's heading, and it's calibrated as such. Vertical speed indicator, of course, you know how fast you're going up and down. So those are my basic instruments right here. There's a little annunciator panel here that's hooked up to my my GPS, and it gives me little warnings, you know, whether I've got a message or what mode I'm in. It's that little indicator right there. These little stubby things sticking off are lights. They're just lights shining down onto the instrument so I can see them better at nighttime. Moving over here is kind of where I have most of my engine instruments. Right, so over on this side you get most of your engine instruments. This one right here being manifold pressure on one side and fuel flow in gallons per hour on the opposite side. We've got anything from 14 gallons per hour, which is close to, 1.5 psi, all the way up to about 20 gallons per hour, or 21, 22 gallons per hour, which is about 17.5 psi. It's also broken down into cruise power settings, so you'd see 45%, 55%, 65, 75%. When you're at that fuel flow setting, you know that the engine's at about that, just at about that cruise power setting if you're matching up your RPM and your manifold pressure. On the lower side, you'll see SL, 3000, 5000, 7000. Those are altitudes, right? So when you are in your climb, sea level, you know, your needle should be somewhere around here, versus we're at 7,000 in your climb, your needle should be somewhere closer to 18. Once you get into cruise, however, you want to use your power setting charts or your power setting numbers to match up what you've planned for on this range of the instrument. Over here, you will have the tachometer, of course. The red bar here is set for 2650, and I cruise somewhere at 2450. So airplane's got about 4,233 hours on the whole airframe, and that matches up with the engine as well. This engine's been with this airplane since day one. It's been overhauled a couple times. It's got about 700, 800 hours on it right now. We've just installed this, which is the JPI EDM 730. It's an engine monitoring instrument. It gives me EGTs, exhaust gas temperatures, CHTs, cylinder head temperatures, fuel flow, oil temperatures. It can also give me RPM and manifold pressure. I'll put that into it later on. Right here you'll have the S-Tech autopilot. It's an S-Tech 50, and this does heading, it does GPS steering, if I toggle that button right there. It also does altitude hold. It won't change altitudes for you, but you get to an altitude, you hit that button, you set it, and the airplane will hold that altitude. And that's just a really good look at this half of the instrument panel. Over here is where we now start looking at the audio panel for distributing audio between the pilot, co-pilot, and passengers, a Garmin GNS 530 for a GPS, a Narco Mark 12D, so an older unit. It's working right now, but it's got some signs that it should be replaced pretty soon. So that's our COM and NAV 2. And then down at the bottom, it's a transponder for it's the GTX 327. That is connected to a sky beacon on the left wing of the airplane. And I just covered up a hole here. I never missed an opportunity to give myself some good references on the fly so my co-pilot can see this really well. I have another one right under here that has essentially the same amount of information. Just for quick reference, it doesn't replace my checklist, but it's a really great quick reference for heat of the moment, you know, before takeoff, before landing, that kind of thing, power settings, and a few radio frequencies. Right here you'll have some lights for whether the flaps are up or down. So that light on the top will show you flaps up, the light on the bottom will show you flaps down. Same here on the opposite side with the gear up and the gear down. You want to have those lights on when you're flying to know where your gear and your flaps are. Avionics are controlled by this switch, so the airplane can be on and all of this can be off. You know, if there's smoke or I smell something, I can flip those off without killing the rest of the airplane. Or I can kill the rest of the airplane and the engine will keep running because the electrical system doesn't run the engine. So that's the basics of where you're sitting here on the pilot side. You see I'm controlling the yoke. The yoke is connected left and right. And then there's a common shaft in the middle so that you can do pitch inputs on one mechanism. This right here is where I mount up either a cell phone or a tablet. It's just a RAM mount, very, very basic, but it holds it in an orientation that I can look at, or you can look at, as the pilot flying. You put the key in over here. There's an off, a left magneto, a right magneto, both in a start position. The master switch is here. The alternator switch is here. We used to have a generator. We now have an alternator. And then some of the limitations of the airplane are actually captured on this little placard right here. This one's pretty special because it gives me an extra 100 pounds useful load just based on a STC. So it's a paperwork exercise, but now I have an extra 100 pounds I can put on the airplane, which is really nice. On the bottom here, you'll have the suction gauge, so how much vacuum pressure is being generated to control that instrument that we talked about. Fuel quantity on the left side, fuel quantity on the right side, oil pressure, cylinder head temperature, oil temperature, and charging and discharging. So alternator, how much output the alternator is putting out into the battery. Here's where I check my trim. Nose up or nose down trim, which is controlled by this little trim wheel right here. Cowl flaps, flap position, there's a charger, lights, the gear switch, which we want to have down when we're on the ground. And then, just moving on over, it just goes into different light switches, landing lights and taxi lights, that kind of thing. Throttle is here. Mixture is here. And the prop control is here. So these are really interesting. So you've got to press the button if you want to be able to move it quickly in and out. Or if you want to have fine control, you can roll it in and out. It's called a vernier control. So if I want to make a really rapid movement, I do that. If I want to make a really fine increment, I spin it in. Right? Same thing with the others. It's the exact same thing. Cool. All right, under there you've got two rudder pedals, and in the Bonanza these are actually pretty sweet. You can adjust them for tall or short people. So short people, the pedal will be in that location. Tall people, I can squeeze and I can push it away from me, so I have more leg room. Of course, I fly with it in that location. The alternator circuit breaker, which is a 70 amp breaker, is down here. So if that pops, something catastrophically is wrong with our electrical system. The airplane will continue to fly just fine. We've got some circuit breakers here. Most important one is the landing gear circuit breaker, which is right here. That little circuit breaker will disable the landing gear system if there's an issue. You can pop it back in just for now. I don't want to take off with that off, or forget it. But even after all of that, after I've shown you all of that, the most important thing in this airplane is right here, the ashtray. You used to be able to smoke in these airplanes back in the day. We don't do that anymore, so this is, no longer used. It's a little crunchy right now, but I'll clean that up at some point and maybe just delete it. This is a no smoking airplane. We don't want any smoking in this airplane at all. Over there you'll have your storm window. There's a little latch on it. You can open it up, close it. There is a outside temperature probe right there. Here's your your compass, your whiskey compass, your wet compass. So if everything else fails in the airplane, a good pilot should know at least how to navigate on charts based on just this compass alone. It's just a regular Boy Scout or Girl Scout compass. Really, really handy to have. Let's see other things in the airplane. We've got, really nice STC visors overhead. And those are very useful when you're flying into the direction of the sun. What other cool things can I show you here? Oh, down here next to my left leg is the fuel selector. So I'm either on the left tank, which I am right now, the right tank, or I can turn the fuel system completely off. When you're flying these Bonanzas, you really want to be careful to make sure that that is locked into a detent, so that you're not inadvertently stuck in the middle of two positions like here. You want to feel it in the detent, and there are warnings all over the place that remind you to do exactly that, right? So that's left. That's all good. We'll caulk it on the side. And yeah, that's what we've got. If I were starting this airplane, I'd put the key in. I'd put the master on, which it's on now. I would put the mixture in. I would open the throttle a little bit. I would turn on the fuel pump and keep it on to prime the engine. And then once that is primed, I'd come over here, put the key in, turn the key, the prop would spin up, it would fire up. And then once it's firing, I'd let the key go and it'd go into the both position. Engine's running, I'd come over here and switch on my avionics. You see all this stuff powers up. We've actually got the speaker overhead that you're hearing right now from the ground frequency. I've got the speaker turned on. The speaker is right here. It's an old speaker, but it works.
Okay, your discretion on the push and copy the southwest flight.
Right, so here you go. Everything's all nice and hooked up. I know we're aiming approximately west, so that now that I've powered it on, that is pointing over to the west. It's calibrated itself to point west. And then the compass is also showing approximately west as well. Once the engine turns on, you know, we'll get the proper indications there once we start moving away from these metal buildings as well. So that's really it. That's the cockpit or the instrument panel of this 1963 Beechcraft Bonanza Model P35. I hope you've enjoyed this. I know we haven't gone flying yet. I've run my I'm safe checklist and I've decided that I'm not safe just because I've been so sick for the past week. I'm still a little bit tired, so I'm not going to fly until I am good and ready, and I'm not good and ready. So a couple days and we'll get back into the air, get back to flying airplanes like this. But you were right here, right next to me, right? I, put you in the pilot seat so you can check out this airplane with me and learn a little bit more about the instrument panel. It's really easy to fly this airplane. There's nothing to it. There's no magic. It's just knowing where everything is and what everything does, and then understanding what you're going to do in the case of an emergency. That's what we train for. That's what we study for, and that's why I commit the locations of all these things to memory. If something goes wrong while I'm flying, I want to know where I'm looking for, for troubleshooting, or know what I'm looking for to try to figure things out. So, thanks for hanging out. We're watching so many airplanes go by here. It's a busy day at Savannah. Weather's rolling in. It's getting dark to our west. So I'm going to pack the airplane up. It's got a leak somewhere. I've got to figure out how to find that leak and stop the airplane from getting wet when it's outside. But yeah, we're doing fine. We're back. Feels good to have this airplane back outside again with everything working and ready to take us on great trips, great journeys once again. So drop in the comments if you got questions about any of these instruments and what they do, how they work, what I can replace them with. Yeah, let's keep flying these things. Let's keep learning about these things, and let me know how I can help you on your little aviation journey. Until next time, be good to each other. Call your mom. Really this time. I keep saying it. She needs to hear from you. And we'll talk to you again next time.